Getting stuck in the middle of the road is almost everyone's nightmare, and in today's video, we are about to take you through a list of the vehicles that could just about make that nightmare come true. Let's get right into the worst car nightmares in US history. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. 6. Chevrolet Corvair. Chevrolet are truly one of the greatest makers of cars in the history of US, but this car made their reputation go down. The Chevrolet Corvair was one of the very few American-made cars which had a rear engine. Now I guess you must have figured out the problem: the rear engine. The rear engine design was initially marketed as an innovative and stylish alternative to traditional American sedans, which had the conventional front engine. But it turned upside down when the buyers faced the issue of handling at higher speeds. The car couldn't negotiate the curves at higher speed because their center of mass was away from its actual point. In fact, they faced huge criticism for this blunder design. Also, frequent overheating and mechanical failures added more oil to the burning controversy. Despite being from the Chevrolet family, Corvair lacked critical safety features, which led to poor crash test results. Chevrolet understood that this was a huge blow for their reputation, held multiple recalls and redesigns, but all went in vain. The sales declined drastically, and by the late 1960s they stopped production of the Corvair. 5. Pontiac Aztek. Is the list of American automobile nightmares complete without the Pontiac Aztek? I think not. It's still surprising how the car lasted 5 years in sale. Who knew that this very car would bring the Pontiac name to an end? Believe us when we say this. This is one heck of an ugly duckling in the world of cars. However, the car was brought into production to attract the attention of youngsters, which of course it did with its hideous design. It was also meant to be a family car too. The idea was to make it both look cool and also be as useful. But did it meet its claims? Well, we wouldn't be talking about it like an extinct dinosaur then, would we? While the intentions of the brand were all pure, no one could actually look past the flaws of this car. And trust me, though we've bashed its looks quite a bit now, it wasn't exactly the look of it that made buyers turn their heads the other way. And of course, let's not forget the gross gray plastic found almost everywhere in the car. This half-breed of an SUV and a car had somehow managed to make it to the market, but its weird minivan look was just not selling. Instead of having to settle for something with looks that were worse than average, buyers had a lot of other options at the time. Take the Hyundai Santa Fe or the Toyota Highlander, for example. These cars had similar sizes, performed nearly the same functions, and were way more attractive than the Pontiac. Or they could just opt for a minivan instead if that's what they were looking for. So with that, the Aztek disappeared, and then with that followed the demise of Pontiac itself. Disappointed much? The list only gets worse from here. 4. Cadillac Cimarron. This ride was marketed as Cadillac's entry-level luxury car, which would attract more young and entry-level buyers in the market. Their design promised to bring luxury and prestige that the high-end cars offered to an affordable budget segment. Luxury within budget. What all factors do you want to build high expectations for this car? But all these hype were crushed when it released in 1982. It offered very few luxury features that they promised and had a comparatively less feature-packed interior compared to its competitors. The buyers had a sense that, at this price point, it didn't deliver the expected value or quality. You can guess what happened after that. Cadillac faced immense criticism for diluting its brand value and symbol of high quality and luxury. As a result, the customers felt deceived by the gap between marketing and actual product quality, and it reflected in the sales of Cimarron. The setback in the sales led to huge loss for Cadillac, and they discontinued the production of Cimarron, which left a lasting negative impact on its reputation. Do you think Cimarron was the greatest disappointment? Wait till you get a load of the Horsey Horseless. 3. Horsey Horseless, 1899. Next, we have the Horsey Horseless. If the name isn't bad enough, wait till you hear about what an actual load of rubbish it is. They weren't kidding when they named it Horsey, because it actually had a wooden horse head attached to the front of the chuffing buggy. Why? They wanted to make it look like a horse and carriage. So this thing had the body of a wooden horse and a carriage, but was meant to function as a car. The creator of this vehicle must have had a weird sense of humor, as he was excited to fool the real horses with this fake wooden one too. Let's be glad it didn't make it to the 21st century. Not that it ever stood a chance. Thank God no one came up with more horseless carriages. Could there be anything worse than a horseless carriage? Meet our next one on the list, the Dymaxion. 2. Dymaxion. R. Buckminster Fuller, who was indeed a genius in the automobile industry at the time, was also one of the most creative crackpots back then too. We're not lying when we say he was an oddball, and he was the very person responsible for coming up with the Dymaxion. What did this vehicle offer? He wanted a car that could fly, so he came up with one that could fly. But it wouldn't have been on the list of automobile disasters if it were a success now, would it? It was almost as if he came up with a personal mini-plane more than a car. It even featured jet engines and inflatable wings and everything. Somehow, he didn't give it wings. The vehicle had 3 wheels and a ground-bound Zeppelin, with a huge levered A-arm carrying the rear wheel. This A-arm swiveled like the tail wheel of an airplane and sure gave it one of the weirdest looks. The first prototype went south so badly to the point that it had a horrible wobbly movement in the rear wheel. However, he did not stop at the failure of the prototype. The 2 following the first one was even bigger and weighed more. Were they any better? Maybe by a very small difference. The third car was a little different. It featured a stabilizer fin on top, which of course did nothing to make the driving situation any better. The Dymaxion had the worst balance in crosswinds. When we say disaster, we're talking of a horrible incident here. Once this contraption caused a fatal accident, it was ruled out as ever being an accepted vehicle. Though it ended up being completely useless, this 3-wheeled vehicle was surely a revolution to cars of that time in some way or the other, with its very futuristic features. And finally, to one of the biggest nightmares in the whole of US car history. 1. Dodge Omni. Dodge, known for their expertise in the American muscle car market, decided to enter the affordable segment to increase their sales. Hence, enter the Dodge Omni. Omni was marketed as an affordable hatchback, which targeted the more in-number middle-class category of the American market. Their aim was clear: attract the buyers who are budget-conscious and seeking a car from the brand like Dodge. Even though it came with a Dodge badge, the Omni couldn't deliver the power expectations that the consumers had. It had underwhelming power, slow acceleration, and poor performance compared to competitors. Even with 175 brake horsepower, Omni faced handling problems and stability issues. This car was a blow to the well-known Dodge's reliability. Omni faced frequent mechanical failures which needed serious attention. This high frequency of repairs and maintenance needs led to dissatisfaction among owners. What would you do if you were in this situation? Comment down below. In addition to performance issues, the Omni lacked visually pleasing looks, like its other family members from Dodge. The car came with basic features and minimal technological advancements, which made it the least competitive model of Dodge. As a result, the sales hit rock bottom. It struggled to capture the intended market share and faced tremendous competition from other brands. Eventually, Dodge stopped the production and bid farewell to the infamous model, which damaged their reputation. And that's all for today's video. Which of these did you find the most disastrous? Feel free to let us know in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. After learning about the failed models, you might wonder how American car manufacturers redeemed themselves. Let's explore this by looking at the 10 biggest American cars.